Welcome to Ask Colleen, Spiritual Solutions for Life Situations. I'm Colleen St. Michaels, and I will be the host for this podcast. My aim is to provide you with the guidance and support through life's challenges, spiritual development, change, healing, and growth. Drawing from over 2 decades of experience as a spiritual practitioner, I will share my wisdom and offer answers to the questions that may weigh heavy on your heart and your mind. Remember that you are not alone, you are capable, and the light within you is unstoppable. Hello and welcome to Ask Colleen, Spiritual Solutions for Life Situations. I'm Colleen St. Michaels and welcome to episode 6, where we are diving back into the world and picking up the conversation from last episode and loving and talking about angels and how to build a bond that is sent from the heavens into our life to help us move through any challenges, obstacles, or just to feel supported. So last week we learned about angels, that they're celestial beings, they're non-denominational, and that they are beings of light that are connected through our spirit, our soul. They are created of the same light that our soul existence is created in, and that we are not to worship angels, but to partner with them. They are not connected with any form of religion as they are connected with us, our soul's path, and our soul's destiny. So how do we work with them, and who's around us, and what are angels? So what angels are not are spirits of loved ones crossed. Our loved ones crossed are the spirit that is surrounding us to support us. Angels have never walked the earth. Our loved ones have. So I want you just to envision that we have 2 levels of support, right? On this side, we have our loved ones who have crossed. They have walked the human journey, and they're looking to assist us in helping us to get out of our own way, to get on our way. Their wisdom is sourced from the afterlife in which they cross into, where there is no connections to judgment. There's no connections to right or wrong. They understand who we are on the purest form of life, and they see our destined path. They see us and help us with our struggles to heal. Well, at a higher vibration is our angels. So I want you to just look at that you have this partnership of spirit and angels around you that are helping you to, again, get out of our own way to get onto our way, because of all of the distractions that we are programmed with in this world. If we go to the television, we're being distracted by messaging. We talk to people, we're being programmed by distracting messages of energies. And all of those things are taking us further and further away from attaching to our source, the source within us, the source that knows the path that is of least resistance for our way of this world and following through to our destiny. So the first level of angels, because there's a hierarchy of angels, but for the podcast that we're going to be focusing on, we're just going to be focusing on our archangels, guardian angels, and angels. And so our first level of angels would be working alongside of our guardian angels, because we just learned that our guardian angels are not people who have crossed over. Who are our guardian angels and why are they there? So our guardian angels are only aligned with our soul's destiny. They don't hop from person to person. They don't help the collective in the fashion that other angels do. They are assigned to our soul's specific incarnations. So as we incarnate from one lifetime to the next, gathering soul knowledge, they are helping us to feel supported and loved, and helping us to really embody the idea that we are not alone. So I want you just to imagine that we have 2 levels of education. When we are a soul, we're going through soul school. We're learning, we're growing, we're curious students. So imagine yourself as a student who is in a nursing program. So for the first chapter of your lessons, you're going to be doing book work. So soul school is equivalent to doing like the book work. We're learning the practices, we're learning the reasoning why, we're learning all the different modalities, but we're not actually seeing it in real life. Well, then what happens when we incarnate into this world, when we come into this world, we're now stepping into soul school. So as a nursing student, you're now starting a rotation where you're actually working on patients and seeing things that you learned in the book and utilizing those things as a way to support what you've learned from the book. So as souls, we are all knowing, we're perfect, we know what we're aligned to, we know what our path is, we know we sign up for this on a soul level. We sign up for the struggle, we sign up for the abundance, we sign up for all of it because we know that we have the tools to navigate through that. Well, then we hit this very dense existence where we're in now a physical form, and a part of us knows that we know what we know, but often we get swayed by how we've been shown to live or the different parts of life that we've been given access to. And then we build our belief system around that rather than learning from what we retained over in soul school and remembering that. Well, when we wake up in our awakening, we are remembering the lessons that we learned on a soul level. So the angels can help us to remember the lessons that we were born with. So they're like a proctor at a hospital helping nursing students. So the angels are like proctors that are assisting us. And our guardian angel knows that what our path is and what our mission. They love us unconditionally. They are neither male nor female, but carry the energies of divine feminine or divine masculine. They have names, and we can do an exercise to learn your guardian angel's name. Now, like any practice that I teach or do or any exercise, first step is shield and protect yourself. And we shield and protect ourselves not because we are afraid, not because we're giving into, darkness or negative talk. We shield and protect ourselves because we want the clearest route of communication available to us. Shielding is creating a protection of your energy so that when the information comes through, that we trust it. We're not polluted by the energies of others, thoughts, feelings, beliefs, and opinions that are moving around us. And as empaths, many of us are very absorbent of other people's thoughts, feelings, and emotions. So shielding and protecting is a non-negotiable to have the most efficient and effective way to communicate and to receive messages with trust and a great system of belief because you're willing to then take action based off of what you receive. So if you're driving, I encourage you to take note as to what number we are on the recording, and you can stop at another time and revisit this exercise. But if you're not driving and you have an availability to be quiet for just a moment, I encourage you just to ask the angels to put a shield around you. And we're now going to close our eyes and take a nice deep breath. In the first 3 episodes where we started of Ask Colleen, we started with intuitive development. And in the intuitive development, we learned that we get the first thought of that impression. It may be a word, a name, something that comes through our head. And that is the answer. We want to ask the ego to just take a step out because the ego takes about 3 to 5 seconds and can create confusion. Whereas intuition is where we receive information through feeling, thoughts, ideas, smelling, hearing, sensing. All of our senses are being touched upon. So to learn who our guardian angel is, they will speak through our intuitive mechanisms, our intuitive impressions. They're going to give us through words, feelings, thoughts, ideas, pictures, however it works for you. Be patient and be open to the process. So we're just going to ask that if I could please have my guardian angel's name. First name that comes to your head, write it out on a piece of paper. Write it out. Is it male or is it female? Trust what it is, receive. Your gut impression, your first instinct is the answer. What happens when we logically try to understand it, we try to say, oh, it's that name because, oh, I knew someone by that name, or you will dismiss it. When I was learning my guardian angel's name, which is Sam, I dismissed it. I kept getting the name Sam, 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 Sam. Every time I would do this exercise in the early years, I would get the name Sam and I would dismiss it. And then I had met someone who was a experienced reader, and I asked her, I said, could you just help me with some clarity on what the name is of my guardian angel? Because I'm really, the problem was I was working too hard instead of just allowing it just to come to me. And she said, surely. She's like, what name are you getting? And I said, I keep getting the name. And I wrote it on a piece of paper, and she wrote on a piece of paper. And she's like, it's Sam. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, I've been getting Sam and I've been completely dismissing it. And she's like, why? I was like, it just seemed too casual, right? Like it just seemed too like normal. Like I thought it'd be like a Greek mythology name or something that would be like extra. And she giggled and she said, well, Sam said that you're a very silly person, like that you're a very easygoing person, you're a real person, that anything mythological would have created you never to remember the name because you'd be like, what was the name? Like, I got that wrong. So, and he said I could call him Samuel if I wanted to fancy it up a little bit. So just whatever name comes through, align with the name. And for myself, I knew at that moment that I could feel that it was a masculine energy that I was working with. So Sam has been with me since my existence. Before I even came into this plane, it was assigned to my soul. It knows my soul's consciousness. It knows the wisdom within my soul. So ask yourself this exercise. If nothing comes up, don't beat yourself up. Try it again. Everything in remembering who we are is a practice of patience and practice of remembering the wisdom that's within us. We're not learning something new. We're learning to remember who we are. And by shedding those layers of who we are not is bringing us closer to who we are and remembering. And remember, your environments play a big difference. If you're in a chaotic space, if you're in an overwhelmed space, if you're in a worried space, they're not the times to really get clarity and like get the answers. They're the times where you ask the angels, hey, support me. And then when you have a moment, you can then just pause and then ask to have communication. But if you're in a panic or fear space, often that drops your vibration, which then creates a ripple in the connectivity or the frequency of two souls communicating or connecting with one another. So if you have your guardian angel's name, that is amazing. And however you're viewing this, I'd love to hear your guardian angel's name and how you received it. Feel free to drop a line and let me know. Also, in allowing yourself to keep practicing, and they want us to partner with them. So they're working incredibly hard to create the bond so that we remember that they're there. We remember that we have this team, that we don't feel so alone, so scared, so afraid all the time, that we allow ourselves permission to not only give, but allow them to give to us so we receive, creating balance. When I was learning about working with angels, I always felt like I was asking questions, but kind of getting static. It wasn't that I was getting a lot of mind chatter or confusing messages, but I wasn't getting things very clearly. And what I learned is that I was not good at receiving. So I had homework, whereas I had to be aware of how often I deflected opportunities to receive. And I share that with you because that in my students that I've worked with over the years, I have seen the same situation create a blockage in them receiving. All the channels were tuned in, but their ability to be willing to receive what was off balance. So the awareness exercise is, if someone says a nice compliment to you, do you just say thank you? Or do you go on and deflect it and be like, oh, no, stop. Oh, this old thing. Like you defend it in a negative way rather than just saying thank you. Or you justify it. If you have something lovely on and it's really beautiful and it makes you feel good and someone's like, wow, you really look great. But you feel like, oh, maybe it's too expensive. Or maybe it's like, oh, I got it on sale. Like you're justifying the compliment or deflecting the compliment that's coming to you. If you feel overwhelmed and you're praying, you're like, oh gosh, I wish someone would just help me. Am I carrying everything all the time? I wish someone would help me. And then here comes somebody who comes up and it's like, hey, do you want to carry that bag for you? And you're like, no, I got it, right? So we're sending prayers up, but like with a life-size tennis racket, we're just ping-ponging it right back and not accepting it, right? So when we're sending requests up, we have to be willing to be open to how it is that help comes in. And sometimes it comes in ways that we don't expect it because we're not messing with the blessing. We're just allowing things to unfold organically. So pay attention with how do you receive? If you are someone who loves to give gifts, like when you see a gift for a friend that you're like, oh my God, they're going to love it. Everything about this, they're going to love it. They're going to love it. They're going to love it. You just get special wrapping paper in your head. You can already see the joy. And then you call them. You're like, hey, can I come by? I got you something. I just want to drop this off. And you give it to them. And they're like so excited and so appreciative of the effort and the kindness that you gave in thinking of them. They received it. Well, now flip it around. You're not someone who receives well. So somebody sees something that they believe you would love, and they go through all this special effort to get it together for you. Then they see you and they're like, I have a surprise for you. And they hand it to you. And you're like, no, why did you give this to me? Don't spend your money on it. You reject it. Like you flat out, like you became a joy thief on the spot. You've stolen the joy because of your inability to just say thank you and receive. And that goes back to feeling worthy about ourselves. And this goes back to checking in with the areas of yourself that are not open to believing that you are worthy of both giving and receiving. It goes further than just the hope or the thought that you're worthy or the want. It actually goes into the belief. How do you respond when people try to give? Or are you open to receiving? And those things, those very subtle little shifts of awareness create an openness in our frequency and receiving angelic messages, receiving messages from spirit, and receiving intuitive messages, because we're creating a communication, a conversation with friends and partners in the divine. I'm a soldier on the ground and they're my eyes in the air and they're helping me. And I need to hear them. I need to know that I can connect. And so after a decade of teaching angels, the one thing that really tripped people up was, number one, entrusting their intuitive impression, and two was their awareness on how they block receiving. And everything about our intuitive impressions and angels and connecting with loved ones across is about receiving the messages and trusting them. So now that we understand the guardian angels, people have asked me questions about guardian angels, and they're saying, okay, well, if my guardian angels are there, why haven't they stopped me for doing X, Y, and Z? Well, it's because we're free will beings as well. Angels and archangels and guardian angels can only intervene into areas that do not disrupt our soul's plan. They cannot just go in and rewrite a situation that is our free willingly putting ourselves into, just because they see like, oh snap, Colleen's doing it again. Like this is totally rerouting her. They can't just like take me and like pull my hair and pull me back to the right path, because that is intervening with my free will, free choice. However, what they can do is send pangs through my whole system and ideas through my whole system, like warning signs, like indicators of emotion of like, Carl, like that stomach that you're feeling, that gut feeling in your stomach, that tightness in your chest, that tightness in your throat. These are all impressions that maybe the path that you're on or the decision you're making is not in your highest good. So our guardian angels can remove obstacles that are not interfering with our life lessons, our soul lessons, and our life plan. If it is not our time to go, and this is probably one of the most sacred messages of all, if it is not our time to cross, they then can intervene, because it is not our time to cross over. That is not in our destined plan. And as I worked in mediumship for almost 2 decades, and the number one thing I always heard from behind the door was that people felt that when people crossed over, it wasn't their time. And the angels always shared that our time is never aligned with divine time. because we would never want people to go, right? We've never been taught how to live without the people we love. We've only been taught how to build communications and connections. So therefore, if someone's younger, and we're going to do a whole mediumship series after this angelic series, we're really going to dive into understanding the soul, the afterlife, and how we can learn to live here by understanding what it is that our loved ones on the other side are sharing with us, and how do we live through grief. The topic could be its own podcast episode because it is so fascinating. But for the sake of this series, the angels, it's understanding that when it is our soul's design to come and to leave this world, that is a non-negotiable. If someone chooses to, participate in their own passing, that is a different scenario. However, if you're driving down the street and you're, a car is heading towards you and, it's not your time to cross, your guardian angel can intervene and create a deflection from that happening. Have you ever heard stories? I worked with people who've had near-death experiences, and they have shared that they were, in a massive car accident, 5 years prior to their near-death experience, and there was no reason they should have walked away from it. And they did. And it was like their car was, placed in a bubble. And our guardian angels can help when it is not in our interfering in our soul's path. And I know out there, I can hear 1,000 different ways and be like, okay, well, why did my child pass? Or why did this happen to this one? Each soul is designed to go and grow through experiences. And not all of them feel right to us on the human existence, especially since we give this chronological age as the power system of how long we should stay and go. We look at young people and say, okay, well, they're just too young. They haven't lived yet. Well, their soul may have only designed themselves to do a very short journey in Earth school. And then you may have seniors who, are here for a long time. Well, they may be a young soul in an old body, right? So it's our soul age. And we're going to, again, really dive into that in the mediumship series coming up. But our soul age plays such an important part of it. But just know that your guardian angels are there to say, hey, guardian angels, like, I'm feeling afraid, or I'm going through a very difficult time. Can you give me signs? Can you give me a feeling that you're around me to support? You may feel tingling on the top of your head. You may feel like your sinus area is feeling pressure in your ears because it's an atmospheric change. You may feel that there is a warmth that surrounds you, or a coolness that is like an embrace or a hug. If you put your hands out and close your eyes and ask the angels, may I feel how you feel around me? You may feel a coolness moving around your hands and like a pressure that lies down. The top of your head may tingle, like you have to itch it. You may find that you feel a gentleness or just this wave of calm that comes over you. So when we ask for validation and confirmation, they don't get mad, because again, they're looking to help us to build and strengthen this relationship that we are birthrighted to. And they want us to drive a life vehicle with all four wheels, and not drive a vehicle with two wheels and keeps breaking down and stumbling through life. Yes, we're growing through it, but we stay way too long in our pain that we create a disbelief in our capability of what we are here to experience. So call and ask your guardian angel. I worked with a woman once, which was so fascinating. And she was telling me that there was a fire in her house, and the firemen were sharing that, they couldn't believe that the baby's crib did not have any sort of burn marks on it and nothing. And the fire was like its origin was in that room. And so it's like, that is a testimony that our guardian angels are present. Guardian angels can take human form at certain points when we're in danger, or there may be a situation that we need comfort on. And, if you've ever heard people were like, somebody just appeared out of nowhere and then disappeared. And often those are experiences with our guardian angels, and they're forever amazing. I just love them. I met my guardian angel when I was like 16, and it should have been a way that I was unaware of. I had been in a hospital with a partner of mine who had leukemia, and I was very overwhelmed being in the children's hospital facility. And I remember walking out, and this little boy, his eyes were like the sky, and he was a patient. He had a robe, and he had his little IV cart with him. And I was crying, and he looked at me and he said, "Don't cry for us." He's like, "We're teaching everyone how to appreciate life." And I was 16 at the time, and I like looked up and I was like, "What?" And he said, "Don't cry for us. We're teaching people how to appreciate life and pay attention." That blew me away at 16. And, recalling that after I learned everything I learned, I was like, holy bananas. Like, I met my guardian angel. And because on other occasions I have met the same individual grown, fascinating, because at that moment I was saying in my head, like, why is this happening to young people? Like, why is this happening? Like, why? And that was the answer. Did I understand it then? No. Do I understand it now? Yes. So this little boy, I could say maybe 9 or 10 he was, and I was 16, like I said, his eyes of the sky, and he had cocoa colored skin. I mean, it was just gorgeous. And I remember asking someone in the hallway, like, where did he go? Like, what room is he in? I want to talk to him. And nobody saw this individual. Nobody saw me talking to anyone. Now, this was going on in a hospital that was pretty busy. Not one person, when I described this young male who I was speaking to, knew anything that I was talking about. So I questioned. I was like, okay, that's crazy. Like, did I just make this up? Like, am I hallucinating? It's like my grief or my sadness, like, becoming too overwhelming. No, that was my guardian angel, and giving me a message that didn't quite understand, but understood at that time, but really understand now on such a different level. So the next level of angels that we're going to address is, we call them the angels. So the hierarchy of angels is basically the level in which we on the earth plane and the physical density can have communication, connection, and a relationship with, because the higher hierarchies are a very high vibrational state. And through meditation, we can reach those spaces. But each of these angels has a very specific job. So our guardian angels is specifically our soul's angels, watching over us as we encounter all of our lifetimes, and then to cross us when it is our time to cross over into the other side. The next level is our angels. Now, angels, these are like our worker angels, right? Like bees, you have like the queen bee, and then you have the worker bees who cater and help. Well, they're the closest thing to humanity and helping us to navigate any challenges. So if you're sending a prayer up to God or the universe or the source of the heavens, or asking for help, it is the message that is sent out, and then the appropriate angels that are sent to assist us. So if you're going through something and you feel like you're struggling and you're just like, help me, I just need help from the divine, the right angels will come and help us. Now, what we have to do is get out of our way of setting expectations of what that help looks like. When we create and we are experiencing problems, traditionally the highest value of help that comes in is not going to be created from our mind. The mind is not the solution space when we are going through chaos. It is allowing ourselves to know that we have asked for assistance, and that we need to just then pause and be present in, how does this assistance come to us? How do we receive assistance? How are we getting the help, right? So I practiced this, and this was another way that I learned to practice receiving, where I would say, okay, angels, like, help me with a parking spot. Okay, help me with a coupon. Help me, I would just incorporate them into my daily life by just learning how to start asking for help, because I'm in recovery of people pleasing, but historically when I first started, I was a champion people pleaser. So asking for help was incredibly foreign to me. And I sat still with blank pieces of paper trying to communicate with angels, but I wasn't asking them anything. So it's a giving and a receiving. So it's about saying, okay, can you help me with the best outcome when it comes to this situation? Can you help me to heal this part of myself? Or if you're going through heartache or grief, or you're trying to move through a habit or something that is creating heaviness within you, ask the angels, and the right angels will be assigned to you. So like the worker angels are magnificent because they are I don't really have names for worker angels. I just call them angels as like a collective. It's not until we get into the archangels, which are our managers or overseers of the work here that's done in humanity. So we're going to look at the archangels as like managers or the directors of the balance of this existence in humanity. And so when we are working with archangels, we're going to focus on the four major archangels. And the first two that we're going to address are Archangel Michael and Archangel Raphael. The next episode, we're going to go into Archangel Gabriel and Archangel Uriel, and working with them and how we can improve our life and quality of existence just by incorporating angels. So Archangel Michael is magnificent, and I use and work with him all the time. He is the protector angel. He helps us stands for justice. His color is cobalt blue. It's a beautiful sapphire blue. And when I see it, it almost appears like a smoke, like a sapphire smoke. And it's really lovely because when his energy comes through, he comes through as the protector. So if you're feeling afraid or unsure how to navigate something or feeling challenged, ask Archangel Michael to surround you. I don't walk into a space or a building or an office without sending Archangel Michael ahead to clear the space. I ask him, please surround me and protect me. Make me aware if there's something I need to pay attention to. That is me releasing my free will and asking if there is something that can create a potential harm or uncertainty, that I am open to receiving those little pangs in my being that are going to alert me to navigate out of that situation. Archangel Michael, he's like my guy. I just love him because I work with him so much, and he's around so many of us, especially empaths, because he wants us to start remembering our power. He wants us to start remembering that our value of loving ourselves is just as important as the love we give out. Part of our purpose is to heal that blockage that we're just givers and not allowing ourselves to receive. Archangel Michael helps us to move through any density. If there's lower entities, lower vibrations, if people have attachments onto our energy or psychically attacking us, you can ask Archangel Michael to shield you and protect you, to help you to navigate it through it with ease and grace. If you're going into a situation that brings fear, asking Archangel Michael to stand up and step up for you and stand next to you as you move through that challenge. Years ago, I was finding myself uncertain spiritually. I guess probably like 7-8 years ago. I remember having a conversation with Archangel Michael, and I felt like I didn't know how to be peaceful, but yet stand up for what it was that I wanted, because I felt like if I wasn't quiet, then I was in conflict. And I really was kind of struggling with that. And I felt like, well, how do you address situations that feel heavy in the light, but not bypass it spiritually by just avoiding it or just not addressing it because you don't like conflict? And he said the most powerful thing. And he said, Colleen, I am the angel. I guard the heavens. I stand at the hands. I am the defender of the general of the army of the light, and deflect negativity. My army has a sword. I have a sword. I am an angel and I have a sword. You are a human and it's okay to have a sword. Your idea that being loving means getting beat up because you're not going to, defend yourself or deflect. And he said, when I ask you to use your sword, it doesn't mean you're wielding it without any thought and just being reckless. When you choose to pull out your sword, you are committing to defend what you are holding sacred. And that means defending the right, defending the justice, and standing up for your voice, standing up for what's right, standing up for what you know to be true is by no means an act of aggression. It is an act of strength. And I was like, holy gosh, you know what? I'm always asking Archangel Michael to bring his sword to occasions with me because I feel afraid. But I was not addressing the idea that he wanted me to stand up for myself and in a loving way use my sword. And that had taught me so much about how that when as empaths, we tend to look at things that if we're either silent and just doing what people want, or if we have a different opinion, then we're creating conflict. And the reason is because we've been silent for so long that we've become immune to the idea that we just create more comfort with conflict inside of us. So the idea of finding balance in a communication feels often strange in the outside world. So what Archangel Michael just wants us to remember is that we all have a sword, and it is the wisest of ones who know when to wield it and wield it with respect and grace rather than a recklessness in a wounded response to whatever's come into your world. And that was so powerful to remember. And I just wanted to share that with you because I found it challenging to find the balance between a mute and a banshee. Because I felt like I just didn't have that middle ground of like, how do I communicate this without sounding like aggressive? How do I communicate this without it coming off snarky or like intense, right? And finding that balance that every communication doesn't mean conflict. And that was hard to balance. So if that helps you out, God bless. So the next angel that we're going to work with is Archangel Raphael. And Archangel Raphael is the healing angel, and his is of an emerald green light. And he helps us to heal our physical and our emotional selves, as well as our financial stressors, right? So that's kind of surprising, right? Like, why are the angels with the currency of money? Well, because they see how destructive the fear and the worry of money is with us on this human level. So they see that most disease, most stress, most sleepless nights are created from worrying about money. Worry, right? They always say it's the dis-ease that creates disease. And so Archangel Raphael is magnificent because he helps us to heal the shadow parts of ourselves. So if you're doing shadow work, which is addressing the parts of ourselves that need the attention and needs transmutation into the light, Archangel Raphael can help with that. If you're looking to move through addiction of smoking or alcohol or sugar or whatever it may be, he can help to lessen the cravings for it. Many moons ago, I used to smoke, and I remember asking Archangel Michael to surround me and support me, and then asking Archangel Raphael to remove the cravings from me, help me to lessen the cravings. And it was like one morning I woke up and it was like I was a non-smoker, and it wasn't an overnight thing. I had to be a party to that and really want to release it, but he can help us to reduce that impression, that cravings, and lessen it. And it's been very powerful of people I've worked with moving through addictions, and whatever it was coming out of a relationship, which can also feel, we can become addicted to people, addicted to toxicity, addicted to drama. It's about helping us to find balance in dissolving our attachments to those things that we feel are fulfilling us, and creating a light of love. And they keep showing me the the emerald green, like crystal, placing the crystal in the void of where that addiction may have been. If you're going through a heartache, you can ask Archangel Raphael to lessen the pain, to ease that you go through the experience without feeling the heaviness of it. If you're going through a health challenge, asking Archangel Raphael to add emerald green light through that space that is experiencing the sickness. If you're having a procedure done, I always ask that whenever I'm having something done, that Archangel Raphael's light move through the hands of the person, if there's a surgery, if there's even the dentist, whomever it may be. Archangel Raphael is the healer's overseer. If you're in the wellness world where you're a coach, you're a doctor, you're a nurse, you're a therapist, you're in the fields where you are helping humanity, EMT workers, ambulance, fire, police, like all of these, he helps the people who are on the front lines of wanting the healing to happen in a higher vibration. Us as light workers, he is partnering and assisting with us consistently as we are doing our healing work and our acts of service. So Archangel Raphael is a magnificent companion to assist you on any aspect of either healing the physical or the emotional discomfort that you're feeling. And if it's a financial stress that you're worried about, is that asking him to create opportunities to bring in abundance, that you say yes to opportunities that are presented, that you help to lessen the chains of lack that you hold on to. So asking Archangel Michael to shield and protect you, and Raphael to come in and embrace you in this emerald green light. Let me know how you make out with that. Ask it, try it, start incorporating that bond and see how great life starts to take a change and lessens the density around situations so that you feel more empowered and less devoured by life. So thank you for listening to this episode. If you have a question and would like to submit it, visit Ask Colleen. Actually, you're going to visit www.colleenstmichaels.com, visit my website, and file a form of asking a question and how you would like me to help you. So have a wonderful night, have a wonderful day, and see you next time. Thank you for tuning in and joining Colleen St. Michaels on this transformation journey. If you have any questions, insights, or topics that you'd like to engage or ask, please visit www.colleenstmichaels.com under the podcast page of Ask Colleen to submit your question. I look forward to connecting with you next time. Have a beautiful day.